I want to tell you a very big reason why kids and teenagers and even some adults find it so hard to stop playing video games. All right? And I want to tell you a story that really illustrates this point. Because I had this 22-year-old young man reach out to me, and he told me he was addicted to video games. And he was playing massive amounts of video games for years and years. It started in junior high. He got this idea that he was going to be a professional gamer. And he told me this one game, he had logged 8,000 hours in 1 year. I mean, that's like 2 times what people normally work, all on this video game. He believed that's the one that he was going to be a professional gamer in. Didn't work out. So he ended up trying a new game. And then he racked up the hours on that one. And he was going to make it to the top. And he got close, but not quite. And then he went to another game, and to another game, and to another game. And that had been happening for years. Now, he was 22 years old, living with his parents, not going to school, and didn't have a job. He was at this point, really his parents were at this point, they realized that something had to change. And they had told him he had 6 months to get a job and move out. This put him into a crisis, right? Because his dream of becoming a professional gamer wasn't panning out. And he didn't know what he wanted to do with his life. Because everything had been about being a professional gamer. And as I talked to him, he realized he actually did know what he wanted to do with his life outside of video games. He was a great artist, and he wanted to become a graphic designer. And he also loved guitar. He wanted to be a great guitar player, maybe play on a band on the side. You know, he had these dreams, he had these interests. And I asked him, well, why didn't you ever pursue those? He's like, I did, but they were hard. They were really hard. You know, video games were fun, and they were natural, and they were easy to me, and I felt good about myself. When I'd sit down and play the guitar, I sucked at it. And after a while, it made me feel bad about myself, that I wasn't as good as the other people, and it just didn't seem like I was getting any better. And with the artwork, that took a lot of work too. And then I'd see other people and how good they were doing, and you know, I just felt bad about myself. So I'd go back to the games. And I'd play the games because I always felt good. I always felt like I was doing well, except till I get to a certain point. And then I couldn't win anymore. Like, even the people in the games were better than me, and I kept losing. And I'd get angry. I'd throw controllers. I'd scream. I'd get mad. I'd get upset. And those are the points that my parents would come in and say, okay, you're done with games. You know? Why does that kind of thing happen? Right? I mean, this kid clearly had a lot of talent. He had a lot of things going for him, but yet he had completely got sucked in to these video games. Now, I tell you that story because there is a theme in that story that I hear over and over and over when I'm working with a kid, a teen, or an adult who's really hooked into video games or addicted to video games. And that theme has to do with this concept in psychology we call a sense of mastery. And what a sense of mastery is, it's where you do something really well and you feel good about yourself, you know? But it's not just doing one thing. It's this sense that at this point in my life, I'm able to take care of myself. I know how to handle things. And the more you have a sense of mastery in each area of your life, physically, mentally, you know, academically, socially, relationally, emotionally, you know, you feel like you're equipped. You have your place. The more that's going on, the better your confidence is. See, a sense of mastery is highly linked to a person's view of themselves, their self-confidence. And, you know, because they have a sense of belonging, they have a sense of purpose, they have a sense of connection, and you know, they feel good about that. Video games mimics that sense of mastery, right? Because it's easy to be good at them. Video games are designed to let you win. It's based on a reward system. I'll give you an example myself. You know, when I first started playing the game Madden, the football game, You know, in the beginning, I was horrible at it, but they had this setting. You know, they start you off, or you can move down to the rookie level. And basically, there's no way to lose when you're playing the rookie level. You can be the quarterback running 30 yards the wrong direction, press the pass button while you're running the wrong direction, and he'll jump in the air, turn, throw it 40 yards, first down, and you're like, yes! That's how I was. You know, and then I learned how to play a little better, and I moved the level up. And I learned how to play a little better, and I moved the level up. And it got to a point where, like, I'm really good at this. I feel good. Like, my friends come over, I'm like, watch this. And at least some of them I could beat. You know, and you felt good about that. All those games are designed that way, right? They all have a way to reward you very quickly, and you feel good about yourself. Now, the thing is, it's not permanent. What happens is you eventually get to this place where you can't get better, or it's very, very difficult. You know, the game becomes more of a chore to win, and you're getting rewarded less. And that's where you see kids and teenagers and adults getting mad, screaming, getting depressed, flipping out at the TV, at the monitor, at their phone, you know, whatever they're playing on. Because they're not getting the same rewards. They're not getting the same effect from the game. But they still believe they can. They still remember the times that it was fun, and they're seeking that. And that's why I see a lot of these hardcore gamers, they get to this point where they make this decision. They tell me, like, yeah, I'm done with that game. I'm tired. I'm like, you played it for 10,000 hours. You're just done with it? Yeah. You know, I want to move on to something else. I think I can do better at this other game. And then they move on. You know, and then that cycle repeats. And don't forget that since most of these games have become social, you know, you put the headset on and you play with other people. You get to know these other people. You form teams, you form connections, you get likes, you get followings. Since it's become social, there's this sense of mastery socially. Now I can have my social connection within this gaming environment as well. But the short way of saying it is, eventually, the games will let you down, especially when someone's life is out of balance. And that's what I see happening with these kids. Because there's really these two vulnerable moments that kids, teens, even adults can have where they're more likely to fall victim to the game, you know, getting too wrapped up in it. And one of them is when self-confidence is low. You know, when a kid, teen person has been through something traumatic, they're going through something difficult, they're having a hard time making friends, they just moved into a new school, they're in a new social environment, you know, whatever it is, their security and self-esteem is a little bit lower, man, that game make you feel good, you know, and you can have connections there. And if that's the only connections you have, and that's the only thing you go to, then it gets out of balance. And the other thing is more just what happens developmentally. You know, you put a video game in front of a kid or a person, they're going to enjoy it. It's going to be fun. And if they keep playing it, they get behind on things. They get behind on playing their instrument. They get behind on their sports skills. They get behind on their academics. And then when they try to re-engage with those things, they're not as good on the sports field. They're behind in their music. They're behind at school, and that is tough. That is difficult, and they don't want to feel that way, so they can go back to the game. You know, and it's these cycles where the video game is just more appealing than dealing with real life. And that sense of purpose, that belonging, that sense of mastery that happens with video games is one of the main reasons I see why the games are so powerful and so addicting. So here is something to think about, all right? When the video game is the primary source of purpose, of connection, of feel-good for somebody, and that is just ripped away from them, that's traumatic. I mean, it really is. That's taking away their coping. That's taking away the thing that makes them feel good. Sometimes that it's their only socialization, and that's being ripped away. So just taking that stuff away is only part of the solution, and sometimes it's not the solution. Because that's where I see kids get really anxious, really depressed, and become even more disengaged or violent than they were before. And it doesn't get better unless someone's there to help them. So yes, video games and technology need to be balanced. They need to have limits, and if someone can't self-impose those limits, then it needs to be done for them. But what else are they going to have? You know, and that's where if you're dealing with someone, or you're in a position to help someone who is trying to make this change from being out of balance or addicted to video games, they're going to need a lot of support. They need to find something else to bring them purpose, a sense of belonging, a sense of connection. And if you're a parent in that situation where you're limiting and drawing your kids back, you know, you're cutting them back from their video games, from their tech, from their phones, all that kind of stuff, they really need you. Even though they're going to hate your guts in that moment for taking away the thing that they need, they really need you to support them. They really need you to acknowledge how hard this is for them and how you're willing to help them out. And that's in everything from giving them ideas to listening to their frustrations, giving them that message of, I know this is hard, you know, and I've been there too. Maybe not with video games, but I know what it feels like to not belong. I know what it feels like to not be good at something. And it's a horrible thing, but if you keep at it, you get better. You make connections. You know, life turns around, but we can't run to these video games. That's ultimately not the answer. So I hope that helped answer the question for you, and I know it opens up a whole new can of worms, right? I mean, there's so many other questions, like what do you do? How do you help them out? What are the right limits? How do you take them from being out of balance and not having developed these skills to helping them develop those skills, right? There's so many more things. And that is why I am going to be making more videos, because I see there's just such a need. There's such a need, and we need some direction on how do we really help our kids? Like, why is this really going on? And then when we understand why, we're better equipped to help them out. So thank you for watching, and keep looking for those other videos, those other trainings. You can always go to my website, jonathanleague.com. Follow my Facebook, subscribe to YouTube, and that's a great way to get connected, get notified about other videos and trainings. Thank you, and I will talk to you soon.